If you ever think power looks like shouting, explosions, or a weapon pointed at someone's face, you've never stood in a room where a human decides not to hurt you. The sound that started it all wasn't a scream or a gunshot. It was a quiet metallic crack, sharp and final, like the universe snapping a pencil in half. The cuffs hit the floor in pieces. Commander Asha Cade rolled her wrists slowly, fragments of star-forged alloy scattering across the obsidian tiles. The restraints had been rated to hold war machines, riot gods, and at least one synthetic intelligence that once tried to rewrite gravity. They had lasted exactly 3 seconds against her. Across the chamber, Ralvek Thorn, the architect of 3 planetary bombings and a man who had built his reputation on never being afraid, took a step back without realizing he was moving. His mandibles trembled. The air between them thickened, not with violence, but with the unbearable weight of possibility. Asha didn't look angry. That was the part that broke him. She looked disappointed, the way a medic looks at a patient who ignored every warning label and swallowed poison anyway. 6 hours earlier, High Arbiter Saloon had stood behind the observation glass, convinced she was watching the execution of a dangerous primitive. The data streaming across her retinal interface insisted the human female below was minutes away from lawful termination. Yet Asha was doing slow, controlled stretches in the center of the holding platform like an athlete warming up for a jog. No elevated heart rate. No panic hormones spiking. No bargaining. Saloon had overseen thousands of sentences. Every species pleaded eventually. Even the proud ones cracked when the arena lights ignited. The human treated the moment like a scheduling inconvenience. That should have been the warning. The Council's greatest flaw had always been assumption. They believed technology outranked biology. They believed alloys beat bone, that shields beat muscle, that progress was measured in hardware. They had never studied what happened when a species evolved on a planet that tried to kill it every day and lost. The platform dropped. The arena erupted. 70,000 voices crashed together into a physical force that rattled the air. The obsidian brute charged first, a living siege engine bred for spectacle. It hit the sand hard enough to send dust spiraling upward. Asha didn't posture. She didn't roar. She simply moved. When the creature swung, she stepped inside its reach with surgical precision, redirected its momentum, and flipped 2 tons of muscle across her hip like a training dummy. The impact echoed. The crowd died silent. She tapped the stunned beast once, gently, like confirming a machine had powered down. Saloon's claws dug into the console. She authorized the nanite purge without hesitation. A silver cloud spilled into the arena, a swarm designed to erase flesh molecule by molecule. It had ended wars. Asha looked up, tracked the emitter with a glance, and sprinted. She tore the generator from the wall with raw leverage, sparks cascading over her shoulders, and slammed it against the barrier in a burst of electromagnetic fury. The nanites fell dead. The arena smelled like burned circuitry and disbelief. She stood in the smoke and pointed directly at the observation box. Not a threat. A statement. Saloon felt something ancient crawl up her spine, the instinct prey feels when it realizes it misidentified the predator. Protocol demanded a final confrontation between accused and accuser. Bureaucracy is stubborn, even when terrified. The vault chamber was built to contain singularities. Force fields hummed in layered harmonics. Ralvek Thorn waited behind a floating desk of encrypted data, convinced his forged evidence would carry him safely through the ritual. He saw Asha enter in star metal cuffs and smiled. He dismissed the guard drones to savor the victory. The room changed temperature the moment they left. Asha stood still, breathing once, deeply, and looked at her restraints. The alloy screamed. The sound crawled into the bones. Then it shattered. Thorn's confidence evaporated. He tried to speak and produced a broken clicking noise. Asha stepped to the barrier and pressed her palm against it. No rage. No theatrics. Just steady, impossible pressure. The field destabilized like a nervous thought and winked out. She walked the remaining distance slowly, boots heavy against the floor, each step rewriting the balance of the room. Thorn backed into the wall. He expected death. What he got was worse. She leaned close and explained, calmly, how she'd decrypted his private networks while sitting in a cell designed to break minds. She described the confession packet already transmitted to the Council. She listed the fleet's signatures entering orbit to collect him. Each word landed with the precision of a surgeon's cut. Then she tapped his chest once. He collapsed under the weight of a future that suddenly contained consequences. The security feed showed no violence. Only a warlord undone by restraint. Saloon authorized Asha's release before the echo of the tap faded. An hour later, a diplomatic cruiser waited in the hangar, engines humming like an apology. Saloon bowed as the human approached, unsure whether the gesture was respect or self-preservation. Asha paused at the ramp, glanced back, and offered a small salute that carried a universe of meaning. Not triumph. Not mockery. A reminder. When the ship lifted, the hangar felt larger, emptier, safer in a fragile way. Saloon ordered immediate revisions to every legal protocol on the station. The first line of the amendment was simple. When dealing with humans, verify not their restraints, but your intentions. And somewhere in the quiet that followed, as officials scrambled to rewrite laws that had felt eternal hours earlier, the truth settled like dust after a storm. The most terrifying force in the galaxy wasn't strength. It was the choice not to use it. If this story made you feel that chill, that moment where power becomes something quieter and heavier, consider subscribing to the channel. Not for spectacle, but for reminders that the universe is vast, strange, and occasionally humbled by a species that learned restraint the hard way.